Okay, in this first little lesson, I'm just going to sort of introduce you to the basic chords. We're going to kind of do it in the key of C, which is sort of the easiest key to learn things from. And then it's pretty much once you kind of understand how the chords are formed in the key of C, and you can transpose them to any key. So just for reference now, we should all know that the C note is right here next to the first black key of the pair. Okay, so that's a C, that's a C, that's a C, that's a C. That's called middle C, so that's where we'll kind of start. So whenever I play, or a good way to start, if you're playing a C chord or a C minor, or really any chord in the that starts with has the root of the C in it. I tend to play the C with my thumb and my pinky an octave apart. At first, maybe you're kind of off a little bit, but you kind of get the hang of that distance between your thumb and your pinky, and so I'm playing two C's there, playing D there, and just keep moving up until you get the hang of really just keeping that hand consistent. It sort of gives you a double bass sound, which fills out the sound. So when I play a C chord and a C bass, much more fuller than just. All right. Now, of course, as you go on, you can put a different bass note with a C. Okay, but for right now, just get used to if you're playing a C, throw the bass in there, and that kind of gives you a nice full C. So let's look at the scale of C, and that's why it's kind of a good key to learn with, because the scale for a C starts on the C, and just goes up every white note till you get to the next C. So it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so they're the the notes in the major scale. Forgive me, I'm not a music teacher, but that's kind of a good thing to know. And the other thing is you kind of number each of these notes. Okay, the C is the root or the one. Okay, the D is the two, E is the three, F is the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the C is actually the root or the one, and it's the 8 as well. And that would be the 9, that would be 10, 11, 12. So because there are some chords like an A minor ninth, okay, which is going to have this higher D in it. Okay, there's a D here, but that's actually the second, and this is the ninth. All right, it might not make sense, but it's good to kind of understand that. That's what we're learning within the C key. So let's just look at the major or the most important chords, or at least in my view. Okay, the C major, or what we'll normally just call a C chord, is going to be made up of three notes: the one, the two, and the three, or the root note, the third, and the fifth. And again, you're looking at the C scale here. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a C. Okay. The cool thing about this, you can just transpose this to any other key. Now, if you move up to a D, all right, so you're going up actually two notes, 1, 2. So you're going up two notes from the C's third, to that, and likewise here, 1, 2. So that's a D. So a little different shape, okay, because it's a black key, and there, and you go back to the C. So the C's are kind of easier to sort of visualize and learn. But that's the major chord. It's the first, the third, and the fifth. Okay, the minor, we're just going to change one of these notes. We're going to flatten the third. So flatten means to go lower. So this is the third. We're going to flatten it, and that makes it a C minor. So the first and the fifth kind of stay the same. It's just that third that we're dropping down. Okay, so that's a minor. Now a C7, or a C dominant seventh, not to be confused with a C major seventh, A C seventh, we call it, or a C dominant seventh, it could be called, is actually made up of 4 notes. It's made up of the regular C major, okay, but there's a flatted 7th as the 4th chord there. So the way you figure that out is we kind of go up to the 7th note of the scale, which in this case is a B, okay, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, and we flatten it, so we go down to the black key, and so that's that bluesy 7th chord. Okay, so it's 4 notes, it's the C, okay, but you add that flatted 7th, and that gives it that bluesy sound, okay. So that's kind of the formula for that. Now let's go to a C minor 7th, okay? So let's do the C minor, okay, because it's the same as a C minor, but we're adding a flatted 7th, so it's the 1 chord, or the 1 note. It's the flatted 3rd, so there's the 3rd, we're playing the flat, and that's the 5th, the G note. Okay, so that's a C minor, right, because we did that was the 2nd chord up there, but to make it a C minor 7th, we need to add the flatted 7th. So again, that would be the B flat note. All right, and if you throw that, play the bass with the C, and I always get kind of percussive using the bass note and the chord, almost like, playing bongos or drumming. You kind of get a cool groove. Okay, so that's the C minor 7th. Now the C major 7th is it's the normal C major chord, okay, the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th, but it's you're adding the 4th note, the 7th, okay, so it's that. It's not the flatted 7th, right, because that was the C dominant 7th. You're just doing a regular 7th, so it's the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. This is that jazzy chord. When you play the C, that's just the regular C, and you add the 7th. Okay, it's pretty cool. Now, the reason I ended up on on this major 7th is it's pretty cool how you can do a kind of a reconfiguration of really any of these chords. And since we're on a C major 7th, okay, and we look at the notes that make it up, there's the C, an E, a G, and a B. Okay. Now, if we look, one thing I learned, there's a lot of different ways to invert these 4 keys, or these 4 notes. And what I'd like to do is I like to play the bass note with, or I'm sorry, the root note or the C with the bass. Okay, so now I don't have to play this, the C note up here, because I have it covered with this bass. But I have to play an E and a G and a B. So I'll play the E and the G like this, but I'll play the B with this finger. And without the C, without playing the C, it just sounds like this. Okay, but adding the C, that is a C major 7th chord. So I've just learned I can play a C major 7th like this, or I can play it like this. I've lost that high C, and I've replaced it with the low C. And I've also gotten rid of that high B, when I played it this way, and replaced it with the B here, but continued to play the E and G. So it just has a different sound to it. And the reason I play it like that is I can move everything up one white key, okay, to a D, and then move all this stuff to that same kind of finger spacing, and it sounds pretty cool. But what chord is it? It turns out that this is a D minor 7th, And if I move that whole formation up one more white key, it's an E minor seventh. And actually I can move it up one more key. And the reason I do this is it's just easy. And they all sound like pretty cool chords. And you'll kind of recognize some of these chords that are played in different songs. Todd Rundgren kind of lives by these chords, but by just, again, starting kind of with that F and the same configuration where you're playing an E, an A, and a C, and just go down one white key to the left each time. Okay, and those four inversions could have been played like this. Okay, and I could have played them with their bass note. But I fingered them a little bit differently. So that's kind of how you play major sevenths. Or, I'm sorry, major sevenths and minor sevenths. But we'll get into the other formations of chords in different keys. But I just like to learn. I kind of learned on C, and any chord that you come up with, in C, it's easy to transpose it. You can almost just count the number of keys between each, depressed note, and come up with the same formula. And then, here, E flat, skip 3 keys, and skip 2 more keys, and that's an E flat. Okay, which is kind of the same. Skip 3 keys, skip 2 keys, and that gives you the first, the third, and the fifth in any key you want to play. Likewise for minors, sevenths, minor sevenths, major sevenths. Okay, stay tuned for the next lesson.